Favorite Tom Cruise movie on 3. 1, 2, 3.
The Last Samurai. Did that sound right? That sounded weird. I don't know if I said samurai right.
It did sound weird.
I don't know if I said samurai right. Oh my goodness. Already can't talk.
What an interesting choice.
Messing up.
I forgot about that movie. That's your favorite Tom Cruise movie?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's a good one. Wow.
Thank you. And of course,
Good Man is mine, man.
Who would have guessed?
I had a real tug of war between that and Rogue Nation, because Rogue Nation is so fun.
Yeah, Rogue Nation's real good.
It's so fun. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but that's just like Tom Cruise. It's like peak Tom Cruise in Rogue Nation. It's so
Which is ridiculous.
Anyways, welcome to Afterthoughts, everyone. This is a podcast where we talk about our first and second impressions of movies, along with a related topic. This week, in honor of Jack Reacher 2, Never Go Back, the sequel, we're talking Minority Report.
Minority Report.
My name is Joshua Kazemi. I'm here with my co-host, Cole the Coleman Taylor Thomas.
You can call me Cole, though. That's fine.
Yeah, either one. Cole or Cole the Coleman Taylor Thomas.
Nothing in between. It's one or the other.
Perfect. All right. Minority Report. Did you see this back in 2002?
No, but not long after that. So
Okay.
A few years after, but it had still been a while.
So we were like, you were like 13 when you saw it. Now it's like 11.
Probably something like that. I might have been more like 15.
Okay.
Really,
okay. But it's another Afterthought staple. This is a movie I saw when I was pretty much a kid.
Yeah.
You know, just classic Afterthoughts.
Classic Afterthoughts.
So let's dive in. What did you think of the movie when the first time you saw it?
I thought it was cool. I find myself thinking a lot of movies were cool, but whatever. I remember thinking, because I was still super into action back then. Not that I'm not into action now, but I just remember thinking there wasn't as much action as I anticipated. And in my younger 15-year-old freshman self, I was kind of disappointed by that. And I didn't really remember what it was about. I remember the general idea of stopping crime before it happened, but I didn't remember. And I remembered that Tom Cruise's character was the one, he was the one that was going to commit the crime, and I remembered that, but that was it. I didn't remember why he was going to commit the crime. I didn't remember anything else besides that, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember the specific plot points at all. What about you?
I loved the movie. I thought it was so cool. I really liked all the future stuff, and I liked the idea, the world building. I was sold. 11-year-old me was like, I am on board. This is so fun. But I think I appreciated it as much as an 11-year-old could. I'm positive that things went over my head, or I remember now that things went over my head, definitely the first time I saw it. But what was interesting to me when I was thinking about this was I loved it so much. I had nothing but good things to say about it when I was telling Molly about it. But for whatever reason, I never watched it again. I've only seen the movie 2 times total, and I've never really talked to anybody about the movie too much. It's always just been in my head as this cool, awesome movie that I apparently loved, but never went back to for whatever reason. So I don't know. It was kind of interesting to realize that this time around, but I definitely have held it in high regard for 14 years.
Yeah, I didn't really hold it in high regard. I guess mostly because I expected it to be this futuristic action movie, and it's more of a futuristic thinking movie. Uh-huh. And I wasn't really into that back then, and so it really just didn't stick out to me. It wasn't a bad movie. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't really... It was never one of my favorites or anything. I expected more going on in it. Faster pace. It was fast-paced, but not as fast-paced as I would have thought it would have been and would have liked.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because I remember it being a fast-paced, futuristic action movie. And I agree with you. That's not necessarily the case. So I remember loving this awesome action-packed movie. And so that definitely went into my second impression of it.
I remember liking the Lexus scene when he gets a car built around him. That was cool.
I didn't remember that at all. No.
How could you not remember that? It's so cool.
I don't remember very much of it at all. I remembered like the pool and the three of them. I thought it would be funny to write down what I remembered the plot being before I rewatched it. So if I could just read this, I thought it was pretty ridiculous what I actually remembered. I wrote down plot from what I can remember. Tom Cruise is a cop in a future world where murders can be predicted. It has made the world so much safer and everything is great. Until Tom Cruise gets accused of a future murder. Colin Farrell chases him. Who knows how it ends? It deals with themes like, do we have free will in a world where we can predict the future? Can Tom Cruise change the future? That's it.
That's it.
I remembered very little of the actual plot points, but I just it ultimately like just left me with this sense of like this really great fun action movie that I loved. So I was super excited to see it again.
I'm pretty curious to how it held up for you.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I didn't know where to place this point. And I guess there's
just stick it right here. Just put it in here.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I don't know. Did you know that there was a TV show based on Minority Report a couple years ago?
I think I remember hearing something like that. I don't know if I knew it actually made it or not, but I remember it in the talks or whatever.
Yeah, it was on Fox, and I watched the trailer for it this week because it just kind of struck me. I was like, oh yeah, there was a show. And I remember when they announced it, I was like, eye roll. That sounds dumb. But then I watched the trailer and it looks kind of interesting, if not, pretty cheesy, but it got canceled real fast.
Of course it did.
So, but it's about the three precogs and like they're adults now. And the main character is one of them. But in this movie, it talks about how you need all three of them for it to work. He's trying to do it by himself. So he like works with a detective, and it's week to week they're trying to solve future crimes. Without the Cruise, who cares?
I know, and kind of undoes everything in the movie, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Well, there you go.
I think that was the initial eye roll. It's like you're just gonna tarnish the original, but doesn't stop anybody from making stuff.
Yeah. Well, I meant also just like story-wise.
Story-wise,
oh,
for sure.
We're not gonna do this anymore. Oh, just kidding. We'll do it for a TV show.
So should we move on to second?
Yeah, let's go into second impressions.
Nothing else for your first impression?
No, I really didn't remember much. It was interesting because I started remembering more as I watched it. Like, I kind of remembered how it ended and things like that as I started watching it. But before going into it, I really only remembered the beginning.
Okay. The beginning, like, the most fun part of the movie.
That's so true.
So I'll use that. I'll lead into my second impression.
Go for it.
Was disappointed because it was my own fault. It's not the movie's fault. I think the movie is still good. I just had such false memories of it. I just have held it up for so long that I was expecting it to be this really great, fun action movie. But it is. It's like a futuristic thinking movie. It's very thoughtful and it's great, but it's just not what I was expecting. So I was disappointed. But it's still. I still think it's solid. Very good. Like the points that I'll bring up later are like nitpicky things. Nothing major, I don't think. What did you think of the movie?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny that you expected it to be this action thing because of your old ones, and now it's not, so you don't like it. But that was me. It's like a 15-year-old. So I was like, I want this action movie, and it's just not an action movie, so whatever.
That's awesome.
Still, having said that, it's about the same for me still. Not amazingly great, but not terrible either. It's still kind of right in that same realm. Maybe a little better because I can appreciate it more than when I was younger. But still not. It's still not one of my favorites. Still not. Oh, you've got to see this movie. It's so good. Just kind of like there.
Yeah. See, that's how I thought of it before. I remember. I think I said that exact phrase to Molly. Oh, it was so good. You got to see it. We'll see it. And it's like now it's like, well, you saw it. I don't know if you needed to see it. It's fine. Oh man. Can I talk to you about the technology in the movie?
Oh, shoot. Go for it.
Because that was one of my biggest things. I thought it was really interesting. I don't think it's necessarily like too dated because some of it is pretty close, but then it's so interesting to me how they walked this line of being pretty close but also still so far off. like the screens are really good, right? Like the fact that people are interacting with their screens, I would say that's pretty good for a 2002 movie. But the fact that you need gloves to do that was kind of pretty funny.
And I remember when I was younger, I thought that was so cool. And now I just kind of thought it was really cheesy, like him aggressively moving his arms back and forth. I was like, man, I used to think that was so cool.
Or like multiple times in the movie they have to transfer memories or images from one machine to another, and they still do it on a physical device. Like as futuristic as you want to make the device look, it's still transferring from one disk to another. It's like a fancy looking floppy disk, essentially. I was so fascinated by like how they were close yet so far. Like it was this weird parallel. I don't know. And then or like he can rewatch his memories, right? Pretty cool futuristic idea. But they're still on physical discs or whatever. It's not, everything should be wireless in the cloud, whatever. But so he's got them on physical discs. And somewhere in Tom Cruise's futuristic house, he also still has a label maker for each disc. Did you catch that? There are labels on each memory. It was like, where is your label maker, Tom Cruise?
You never know. You can still want to label stuff then.
All that stuff kind of took me out of it a little bit. But I don't fault the movie. Those are like really specific things that it would have been so hard to predict accurately. But the stuff that they did decide to do in terms of future tech, I thought was really cool. Like that gun that blows people back, super cool.
Oh, yeah.
The jetpacks, not so much, but the screens, all that stuff, pretty cool. I think the tech is pretty good overall.
Mm-hmm. I thought one goofy one, though, was like what he uses to project or what they watch, like videos, I guess, if that's what you want to call them on. It's like they tried to make it futuristic, but really it's just the person popping out of their background. It was just really weird to me. I don't know why, but I was like, that doesn't seem that much cooler. Like, I might actually just want it to be flat because it looks really weird.
Yeah.
But I don't have as much to say about the technology as I do about the CGI. That's what took me out of it. Specifically on the highway and with the cars. It drove me insane. It looked like some old TV show, and I was like, goodness, was this really the production quality they had back then? Because I don't remember it looking this bad.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I mean, you can't really fault them that much because it was so long ago, but at the same time, it did not look good.
I mean, I appreciate that argument. Like, it's long ago, and so you can't really fault them if that's the best that CGI could do. But then you look at it like Star Wars, like the original Star Wars still looks amazing because they, you have to walk the line of like, what can our technology do? What can we practically do? And let's blend those together in a really nice way. So I'm sure in 2002 they could have done something like that, but the decision was like, but computers, they're so cool. Let's just go for it. Let's just make it look crazy looking and futuristic. Everybody will be fine with it because it's the future.
Yeah, so yeah, I think computers.
I think they could have made more creative decisions that would have lasted longer than the CGI that does now. So that's a good point.
But I
forgot. What?
What?
I was just gonna say I forgot another tech thing. And it was that they have newspapers still. Like Harry Potter digital newspapers.
Digital newspapers. I did notice that. I was like, okay, I guess since it's moving, that's fine, but whatever.
It's moving, but where's the practicality in that? Are they printing digital newspapers every day? Like, how expensive would it be to do that?
See, it's probably just the same newspaper, but it just projects different stuff every day.
Oh, you buy one newspaper and it's different stuff every day.
But then the newspaper business would decline even faster, so I don't know how that works.
Fascinating.
You only need one newspaper forever, and you're good.
I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, though, is I didn't remember how weird it was. There's so many times I was like, that's weird. I just found myself thinking it's weird a lot.
I have like the award for weirdest scene in the movie in my head.
Is that
I wonder what you...
Is it the scene where she screams?
Where who screams?
Okay, then I guess not. But when she like screams at him to run, I was like, well, this is so weird. Why is she screaming right now?
That was weird. You're right. That's probably like runner up for me. I think the weirdest thing for me was like in the greenhouse with the woman that invented the software or whatever. Like that whole sequence was bizarre. And doesn't she like kiss him at the end of it?
Yes.
It's so strange. That's where the movie, that's when it, at that point in the movie, I was like, this is not what I remember it being. Because up until that point, it is this like really fun action-packed movie. And then it hits a lull and it's just weird. And there's a lot of explanation for the rest of the movie, and it just was like that. This is not at all what I remember it being. But did you have any more stuff about how it was weird?
Not really, just all those general things. There were just so many weird things because I remembered it being, even though I remembered it being more thinking, I remembered it just like you said, kind of futuristic, techie, like cool. I forgot all the weird scenes, like the weird guy when he's getting his eyeballs removed, and that girl who grabs his butt. And all these weird things that just happen that don't feel like they fit in the movie. I don't know why they were there at all. It like completely changed the tone of the movie. And it was just strange for that to happen. Like intermittently, it would go back and forth between tones. Just like when he goes back to his house, it's like out in the middle of nowhere and like in the country, not futuristic at all. I mean, I'm sure that plays a part in the movie, but it just takes you so far out. I don't know. It's just too back and forth for me.
Sure. I think I would be willing to bet that this movie was like deliberately and heavily influenced by The Matrix, which was only out for a couple of years at that point, and before the prequel or the sequels. So it was just this amazing Matrix movie. Because, you know, The Matrix, that original movie does have really odd and strange elements to it. I think it's more cohesive in that movie, but I bet it was sort of like, let's do that too. Let's make this sort of like this weird futuristic world that doesn't feel quite right. It's the same way that The Matrix sort of tried to do that. But I agree with you. I think it sort of sticks out in this movie.
Yeah. And it's just a different kind of weird. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but in The Matrix, the whole movie's kind of weird. The concept is weird, which the concept's weird in this too, but this is like weird, but you can tell it's goofy weird. It like stands out.
Sure.
Like I would blatantly call it goofy.
Okay. That's interesting.
It also stretched on a little too long for me.
Yeah, I agree. I like the first third of the movie is so enjoyable for me still. And I think it's got great pacing, great action, lots of really cool world building, all this stuff. And then it just like halts so hard. And it's like the middle chunk of the movie is a lot of explanation, a lot of setup. And then the last act is all explanation. Like nothing else interesting really happens in that final act. And it's a bummer because the premise here is so inherently interesting. And I think it could have kept up the energy that it has in the first act instead of taking it all these weird sort of rabbit holes.
I agree. Just pretty much after he finally makes it up to the point of where he's going to murder the guy or not murder the guy, after that, it's just, it like lulls and it's just talking, like you said, explanation. And I was just like, okay, let's get to it. I'm tired of all this. It was cool, and now it's not. But I've said a lot of bad things about this movie, but I really do like the idea of it all. I like the big idea behind it. I like that they're questioning, is it kind of with the same... I think it's kind of the same idea as Batman vs. Superman, but they pulled it off at least a little better than Batman vs. Superman did. Maybe not perfectly either, obviously, because we've got a lot of issues with it. But I still think they did a good job at questioning it overall and questioning, is it really okay? And what do you have to... Because he has to go through... He thinks the main antagonist, the chief of the department or whatever, thinks that it's a good thing to have, but at the same time, he has to do his own dirty work and go to great lengths to go get it to be real and be a thing. So it's just interesting that they put in concepts like that, and I think they pulled it off really well and questioned whether that's really moral or not. Would it it's a good idea. It would be nice to stop crime before it happened, but is that really okay? And to get to that point, do you have to go through your own criminal activities and dirty work yourself? So is that okay? Is it okay to do some bad things to get to a good ending? And then in the end, is that good ending even good anyways? Because some of those people could have been innocent. I liked the big idea of it all. I will definitely give this movie that.
Yeah, I agree. It's got really interesting ideas. And I think it does a pretty good job at sort of exploring a lot of them. And I think, it doesn't necessarily give you concrete answers or resolutions to a lot of the bigger ideas. But what does happen, I think, is enough to sort of be satisfying. The movie ends and I still feel like it did end, like it came to a resolution. And it's not perfect, and I wanted it to be better just based on my own false recollection of it. But it's still this. I think it's still a good movie. For the vast majority of it, who Tom Cruise is, the world that he's in and what he's trying to go after, and you're with him in this adventure. So I think it accomplishes it hits all the sort of minimum things you need to do to make this sort of a cohesive, enjoyable plot. It's not flawless. I kind of remember it being, which is ridiculous.
Well, you were 11, so it's fine.
Yeah. But okay, so this is an aspect of the movie that I did not remember at all after my first viewing, was that it wasn't world murder prediction or prevention. It was just DC, right?
Oh yeah, it was just DC.
So it was sort of beta, and then they were gonna go nationwide. How were they gonna go? How are they gonna do that for the whole country? Because don't they have a limitation to how far they can predict the future?
I'm sure they do, but not only that, my bigger concern was how can they possibly calculate that many crimes all at once? If you're going throughout the nation, how are you going to support this when you just have 3 people predicting the future? Which is technically one person, because they all have to work together to predict one thing. Yeah.
Or was it that there were other precogs? Wasn't... I don't know. I can't remember that super well.
No, because she said it was an accident. They did studies on... Because it was because of that drug that came out that everyone was doing, and so that lady gave birth to them, but they came out with some mental disabilities or whatever because she had done the drug. So then they did experiments on the children, and through their experiments, they accidentally created them or whatever. That's what I took from it, at least. And that just seems too random and too accidental to recreate. So I don't know how they're going to make it national.
Yeah, it's a good thing they shut it down.
Shut it down.
That's funny.
One thing I thought was cool, though, specifically with the opening scene. Just like you've been saying, the whole opening was great. I think the opening scene is fantastic. And one reason is because I put myself in that guy's shoes. That would just be so terrible because you haven't committed the crime yet and you're being arrested for it. Would you really have done it? You're going off the plausibility that 3 future seers are actually right. That's just crazy to me. And just how insane that would be, that you're just being arrested for having done nothing yet. I mean, obviously he was really close to doing it, so most likely I'm sure he was going to, but that always astounded me, like being in his shoes and like just being taken away for something I hadn't done yet.
Yeah, that opening it's so good, it's so rich, and it's just really, really expertly constructed, because it's not only is it hitting you with a lot of interesting themes that are going to echo throughout the rest of the movie, but it's like lots of great stuff about the world that they live in and who Tom Cruise is and what his life is and how good he is at his job. It's all this stuff that it needs to do in this very visual, action-packed way. No one stops to explain anything. You just see it. You just dropped into that world, and it's so fun. It's awesome. I defy anybody to watch that opening scene and then not want to watch the rest of the movie. It's it hooks you in so well. And that's the best part. It's also kind of the worst part of the movie. It sort of peaks really early. I think that's the best part of the movie, right? It really is. It's just kind of a bummer. But it's so good.
Well,
Tom.
That's disappointing, but
I would love to see these two team up again. I think Spielberg and Cruise could do another cool thing. It would be awesome. Because I think Tom Cruise knows what he's good at now. He has perfected his formula for awesome action movies. That'd be great. Say what you will about Tom Cruise. He's a charismatic performer.
Oh, yeah.
And he's so fun to watch.
It's very true. We should just do 5 episodes in a row, all Mission Impossible.
Oh, man.
And on top of that,
I would do it. I've seen all those movies multiple times.
And not only that, it would only get better and better with each week.
It's really true. What an amazing franchise. That it could get better and better each time. With the exception of 2, which is the worst. I mean, one is so cheesy, but at least it's like iconic. There's moments in that movie that everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's really cool." And then 2 is a disaster.
Yeah.
It's just horrible and not in a fun way.
Which is amazing that they could put it all back together and make 3, 4, and 5 after 2.
So good.
But it seems we've digressed from Minority Report.
Sure. Maybe. I might watch the pilot of that show.
Yeah? The actual Minority Report show?
Maybe, because they're sort of rogue. Like the main kid who's the precog, he wants to solve murders because he has that ability. He feels like, I have this gift, I should use it, and all that sort of jargon. It's not like the cops are digging up the precogs to try to use them again. So I don't know, it seems kind of interesting. And the trailer was constructed pretty well. Like I said, there's a little bit of cheese in there, but I don't know, that's fine. I can eat a little cheese if the premise is good. So I'll check out. I might check out a pilot. Yeah. But I'll probably ultimately be disappointed because it ends in like 8 episodes or something.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's such a cool idea. Maybe in a TV show form they could explore them more thoroughly.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. But if it got,
I'll let you know.
Yeah, if it got canceled in episodes, we'll definitely see.
Not all canceled shows are bad, okay?
What are you trying to hint at? Like a Firefly here or something?
Of course. It's the go-to example. All right. Topic time? Oh, man. Whenever we get theme songs, we should have one for topic time.
Yeah, okay. Whenever we get theme songs, this magical
that
time
glorious
period
day comes.
I know we've been running strong for 2 years now, but finally got a theme song, guys.
Songs. For the intro and for topic time.
Topic time.
Exactly. Oh, there's a good song in there, man.
Oh yeah, we'll think of it. And we'll imagine and dream of making it a reality.
So, topic this week is plot holes.
Plot holes.
Which, happens.
In most movies, I would say.
It's unfortunate, but it happens. And I don't necessarily want to start with like, what do you think of plot holes?
I love them. I think they're great. They really make the movie.
It's a fun way of sort of legitimizing your hate for a movie. You can point to a specific point and be like, haha, I'm right in my opinion.
It really qualifies me and how intelligent I am.
Way too much. All right, got it out of the way. This would just be fun. I have a list of popular movies and their plot holes, and we can just talk about.
All right, let's do it.
It'll be fun. All right, Ocean's 11. You and I have talked about this one before.
Yes,
but we might be disappointing some diehard Ocean's fans. So the plot hole in that movie, if I remember correctly, there are flyers that go into several bags that the cops think, is money, and they take it out to the van. The van explodes, and they realize that they're coupons for exotic ladies. The plot hole is that there's no way to explain how those coupons got into those bags, because you see them take the bags into the van, but you have no idea how the bags got filled with coupons. And it's a legit plot hole because apparently in the DVD commentary, the director points it out and says, yeah, that was just an oversight. So my question is, despite the fact that there is a huge plot hole in a movie that boasts on how elaborate and awesome its plan is, does knowing that ruin the movie for you?
No, come on. That's not even fair.
No, right? It's still so fun and so good.
Yeah. I feel like most plot holes, unless they're glaringly huge and a huge oversight, I typically don't think they ruin a movie. They just happen. It's hard to catch them all. And and I think if you're watching that movie, you're not going to notice that plot hole unless I mean, I'm sure some people can, and if they can, more power to them. I wouldn't. I don't think I would.
I noticed it on my 12th viewing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The first time you're watching
there's no way I caught it.
I don't think you're going to possibly catch a plot hole like that just when you're so enticed with what's going on. And maybe later when you're analyzing it and be like, oh, that doesn't make sense.
This one I don't really like as a plot hole. I think it's kind of iffy, but we did an episode on it. So Edward Scissorhands, where does he get the ice at the end of the movie? At the end of the movie, you see him still atop his mountain, and he's made tons of ice sculptures. Where did he get all that ice?
Oh, come on. What, he has scissors for hands. How did a doctor make a person out of nothing?
There are far bigger questions than where did he get the ice? Oh, good point. Also, who cares?
Not me.
It's the end of the movie. It's not like the ice is an important plot point. Like the fact that he has ice up there, it's the end of the movie. Who cares?
I know. Maybe he got it imported. Come on.
Okay, here's another one. And I might need to reread this book / rewatch this movie. But in Harry Potter, The Deathly Hallows Part 2, Snape's memories that Harry watches or whatever, he sees that Snape sees Lily's last words to Harry. But Snape doesn't get there until after she'd already died. So he wouldn't have seen her saying anything to Harry.
So wait, in Snape's memories, man, I need to rewatch it then too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's probably just like an editing mistake in the movie. I doubt the book has this plot hole, quote unquote plot hole. But yeah, Snape arrived at the house after Lily and James had already died. Mm-hmm. So he wouldn't have known that Lily said one last thing to Harry.
What
or said anything at all.
What did he say she said?
I can't remember.
Oh. Come on.
I didn't write that down.
Because when does that happen? I don't even remember that. I remember him holding her in his arms, but that's all I remember.
Yeah, that's sort of an iconic shot. Yeah. I can't remember it either. Let's just move on. Harry Potter is airtight. Okay?
There is nothing
flawless.
wrong with any of the HP movies.
Everybody needs to just get over it. Ooh, here's one for you. I know you'll like it. Jurassic World. 20-year-old gas in the 20-year-old Jeeps would not work. There is no way the two kids figured out how to start that Jeep. Nuh-uh.
Also, I just love the line that they use to do that. Hey, remember when we fixed up our grandpa's Malibu a few summers ago? Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Ridiculous. Okay, Batman Begins. This is, I think, a popular plot hole people have talked about. The water vapor element of that story does not really hold up. Because people would have taken showers, right? People would have made tea. It would have happened, like, people would have started going crazy way earlier than anticipated.
Yeah.
Doesn't hold up, Nolan.
See, but I mean, all these movies we're talking about, this is why plot holes don't bug me that much, because it's a movie about a man dressed up as a bat fighting crime. Harry Potter.
That's not fair.
Well,
you can't do that for every movie.
I know.
All the movies are ridiculous.
Harry Potter's about wizards and witches, so... Jurassic World's about a theme park full of dinosaurs.
Okay, the plots are on trial here, not the landscape of our ridiculous film culture, okay? We love ridiculous stories, but that's not what's on trial. I'm fine with
ridiculous stories, but I'm just saying that's why plot holes don't really bug me.
And to this specific franchise, I like Batman Begins a lot better than I like Dark Knight Rises, and they both have pretty big holes. But the difference is, I think Batman Begins is a better constructed story, so I'm fine with it having a couple of minor things. Whereas Dark Knight Rises, it's easier to latch onto those holes because the movie's not structured super well.
I agree. That's true.
Yes. Ooh, this is a good one. Shawshank Redemption. Beautiful movie. So good. But Andy Dufresne doesn't change jail cells for like the 20 years that he's in prison.
I know.
So convenient. Also that he doesn't like go through anybody else's cell. You know, his is at the end.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I've always said. Yeah. How convenient that he's in the last cell. But
yet how inconvenient the man's entire life has been.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's like a line he says in the... He's like, considering that the gun would have been not shot, I find it very inconvenient.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Good memory. That's a great line. Heads up, listeners. I don't know if you can hear it. You probably can't, Colin, but there's a car alarm going off. So sorry.
I had no idea what it was. I was like, is my phone about to die? What's going on?
I apologize. But we're just going to press on.
Keep on keeping on.
Okay, here's a Toy Story 1 that I had honestly never have ever thought about because I love those movies too much. But I'm going to say it. I'll admit it to the world that there could be a flaw in this movie. If Buzz truly believes that he is a space ranger and not a toy, why does he pretend to be a toy whenever people enter the room, like all the other toys?
Because it's what he was born to do. I don't know.
I appreciate you trying.
It's a 3D movie about toys.
Thanks for trying. I appreciate it.
He's just trying to fit in.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, that's what everybody else is going to do. So, I don't know. But then also, if you really start thinking about all that stuff, it's like, he thinks he's a space ranger. So, what is Andy? A giant alien?
Yeah, and what are all these toys around him? Not toys?
It doesn't make sense. But it is a movie about toys that come to life. So who cares?
I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay, did he ever try and take his spacesuit off? Probably not.
No. Or eat food or drink water or nothing. Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't add up.
But it's still a great movie.
Debatable. No, I'm just kidding.
Signs and all of the, they're allergic to water.
So why come to Earth in the first place, you fools?
The water planet.
Hey, there's a lot of planets around here. Let's pick that one with water. Yeah.
Dumb one. Okay, and then finally, Minority Report. This one, I really don't think that they're that big of plot holes at all, but they were on this list. So here it is. How she wouldn't be able to gain access to the prison cell at the end of the movie with Tom Cruise's eyes, because at that point he is a prisoner and his access would have been revoked at that point if he was a prisoner. That's what the claim is. And then I would go even further to say that would have happened much earlier, and he wouldn't have been able to get back in to steal Agatha with his own eyeball because he was a fugitive, right? But to the point that we've made for all these plot holes, who cares?
Also, I mean, we mentioned their tech. They're a little behind for being in the future, so
Good point.
maybe they're just slow.
Do those ideas bother you at all?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't notice it. I would have had to have looked it up, so
that's true.
Clearly
Yeah,
not.
Didn't notice it. Although I wondered how she got his eyeballs.
You don't want to know. Also, doesn't that just suck? He never has his own eyeballs ever again.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But he'll be fine.
Also, he like only has one left, right?
Why? What happened to his other eyeball?
Didn't it fall down the drain?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What a goob.
Yep. And then another thing about potholes in general. You've seen the CinemaSin videos on YouTube, right? Everything wrong with fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So their tagline is no movie is without sin.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of built into every movie. Every movie, they're man-made movies. They're going to have mistakes. So who cares? as long as like what you said, they're not gaping holes. If the takeaway from the movie is it's gaping hole, then yeah, it's probably a bad plot hole. But if it's a plot hole in the midst of good characters and good story, then it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So don't stress too much about it, filmmakers. Just make good movies, and there might be plot holes, and it's not that big of a deal. But let me ask you, as a writer, aren't you terrified of plot holes in your scripts or stories?
Yes. Oh, for sure. And I was about to say, don't fiddle with time travel. That's just asking for it.
Time travel is the plot hole of storytelling. It's unavoidable.
You can't. Someone's gonna find something. You did something wrong already before starting. You're done.
Yeah, that was your first mistake. Was time travel story.
So I'm done for, pretty much, is what I'm saying.
That's really funny. Well, I think that's the show.
I think that is the show.
I don't have my checklist in front of me, so I'm just going to wing it, listeners.
Wing it.
This is our 12th episode. I should have it locked up in here, right? So,
yeah, we probably should have mentioned spoilers at the beginning, but we never will.
Never will. No. Okay, let's see if I remember. Next week, we are doing Nightmare Before Christmas to celebrate the holiday season. So watch that great movie, and we'll talk about it next week. There's that. Second thing is, if you have not seen a movie that we're talking about, but you would still like to listen to the topic, you can jump right to it. The timestamp is in the description. So there's that. If you want to support the podcast, the best thing you can do, I've narrowed it down to 2. Usually every week I list a ton of things you can do, and I sort of lump them all together as quote unquote the best thing you can do. So I apologize for that. And this week I'll narrow it down to 2. The 2 best things you can do to support the podcast are write a review on iTunes. That really helps get it under the eyes of new people. New listeners is a good thing. And share it with someone who hasn't listened to it. Those are the 2 best things you can do to help us expand our listener base and take Afterthoughts into the stars.
Huzzah.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. I will double check the checklist, because that's what it's there for,
Yeah,
So,
to check,
I'll check the checklist. Let's see. I think I got it all, actually. You can tweet at us. Oh, there's a question. Usually we ask a question. I'm fine with what's your favorite Tom Cruise movie?
Me too.
I would like to know that. Who really, really loves Risky Business? or Vanilla Sky.
Or Top Gun. Come on. Everyone loves Top Gun.
Vanilla Sky was a joke. That should be none of your favorite Tom Cruise movie.
Did you say Vanilla
hate
Sky
that
is a
movie.
joke?
Ugh. Anyways.
What's to hate?
Tweet at us.
We're doing an episode on
Let
it.
us know. I hated
Just
that
kidding.
movie. Although, it might be ripe for this podcast. Because maybe I hated it because it was ridiculous as a child.
And now maybe you'll love it.
It's possible. So tweet at us. Let us know what your favorite Tom Cruise movie is. I am at Joshua Kazemi on the Twitters.
I'm at Cole Tailored.
You can
on
tweet
Twitters.
at him. You can tweet at him, but if you do, who knows if he'll see it. So if you do
But
that,
it's like a fun game, you know?
if you tweet at him, make sure you use the hashtag AfterThoughtsPodcast. One word. Well, that's redundant. It's not a hashtag if you break up the words. So that didn't need to be said.
Well, some people might not know about hashtags, so you know.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I don't ever tweet, so I could be one of those people, you know?
Yeah. So there you go. We explained all of that to you. Thanks for listening. This is another fun episode, I think. It's fun for me.
Fun for us all.
Great. All right, guys and ladies. We will see you next week.
See you next week.